Now that we have understood what on-page optimization is, let's look into off-page optimization. Now, off-page optimization is extremely relevant when it comes to search engine optimization, because many a times what happens is your website might be indexed or might be linked, or a link to your website might be provided in some other website that is extremely relevant and extremely popular. Now, what Google does is, every time that your website is or a link to your website is provided on another website, Google basically uses it as kind of a vote, kind of an authority who is now suggesting that your website is good enough or worthwhile for some content or some topic. So, if your website is being, or a link to your website is being provided in say 10 other websites or 100 other websites, then the chances that you would be considered as somebody who is extremely relevant in certain areas is much higher. So, that is where a lot of links to your website, a lot of links that lead to your website are relevant. Now, how is that you can actually make yourself popular and make use of such off-page optimization techniques? One is of course by making sure that you have extremely rich content. Now, if you have extremely rich content, then your content is now going to drive a lot of other websites out there to provide links to your website. There might be people out there who don't have the authority or the expertise to talk about certain things that you do. So, if you are going to focus on making extremely great content, say for example, if you are somebody who is an expert on photography and you talk about extremely great photography skills, then every other person who is out there who is either blogging or who has a website about cameras or photography will now give a link to your website, because you are able to provide a lot of rich content. You are providing a lot of expertise which other people might not have. So, thereby a lot of links to your website might increase, because you have extremely great content. Again, like I had discussed earlier, this content should be something that is timeless, something that is relevant for a very long duration of time, otherwise you might have to keep changing your content every now and then. You might also want to try to identify a lot of influencers who are bloggers or other social media users to talk about your website and to promote your website. Many times if you are going to have bloggers who are talking about certain things, remember we discussed about the service company. If you are somebody who is now influencing somebody who is a web design expert, he or she might talk about the web design expertise and then give a link to your website. There might be people who are going to Quora and asking for different kind of information. So, there might be somebody who is asking about web design expertise in certain city where you are located. You might be providing answers about what people are looking for and providing links to your website. This again helps to add the kind of influencer blogs and links to your website on these channels. You might also want to seed a lot of social media content. Social media can also be used to drive traffic to your website. So, such links are also extremely relevant. There are a lot of local links that you can use. Say for example, if you are somebody who is a wedding photographer, you might want the local florist or the local caterer to also talk about you. So, you can use links from the local florist website, links from the local caterer's website to now talk about your website. So, many of these links are going to be extremely relevant. But the voting that I talked about, Google does not give every link equal importance. The bigger, the more authoritative the website which gives your link, the more weightage Google provides to you. So, in case you can find websites which are extremely popular, extremely authoritative and which can provide links to your website, then you will have a greater chance of scoring in the search engine result page. So, hence you might want to create press releases, you might want to do PR, you might want to make sure that you are there in these news websites, you are there in content rich websites which are also providing links to your website, thereby increasing the chances. You might also want to focus on social sharing. You might have seen there are small snippets that are provided on many websites where content can be shared on social media. You might have a small Twitter icon, you might have a Facebook icon, a LinkedIn icon, etc., wherein you can click on it and then probably it can be shared on such and such social media platforms. Say for example, there are a lot of websites where you can select or highlight a link and click on the Twitter icon and it will tweet on your account's name or tweet on the customer's name. Thereby again it increases the number of times that the link is available on social media. thereby increasing the number of times that the link is present elsewhere, or increasing the number of votes that you are getting. So, all of these things, all of these techniques can be used for off page optimization, and thereby you can increase your search engine rankings in the search engine result page. So, we have been discussing extensively about the search engine optimization, which is about how naturally you can create a better position for yourself without paying Google any amount of money, without putting your advertisements out there. So, in order to do these things, we talked about having an understanding about your website, having a good amount of observation about what your website actually looks like. So, that is where we start off with doing a website audit. We try to see whether our website content is extremely rich. We try to see if there are website structures which are extremely good. The structure is very clear to customers as well as the search engine. Is the content very relevant to the person who is coming through? Have you done your keyword research? Is the content very relevant with respect to the keywords that are being suggested? Do you have a kind of sitemap that Google will automatically be looking for? We discussed about tools that can be used for keyword research. We also discussed about tools that can be used to evaluate if the website is doing well or not. And once you have done all of these things, then you can get into the on page optimization techniques, wherein you can talk about the structure, making the structure better, trying to improve more keywords into the website, making sure that the content is extremely great, making sure that the structure is provided properly. All of these things can be done. Once you have done the on page optimization, the next element is where you can do off page optimization, like we discussed, where a lot of links to your website can be provided elsewhere, on social media, on influencer blogs, on other websites, on a lot of authoritative websites, making sure social sharing happens. By doing all of these things, you can also achieve off page optimization. But the most important thing is to keep analyzing how your search engine performance is, how your search engine optimization performances are. So, you have to basically keep looking into what your rankings are on search engines. So, you might want to look into different keywords and what kind of ranking you are getting as opposed to your competition. You might want to understand what kind of traffic is coming to you, how many people are actually clicking on these links and coming to your website. You might also want to understand how many people who are coming from search engines or coming from organic results are actually giving you money or paying customers. So, once you have this kind of an analysis done, because all data is available to you, you can keep track of how many people are coming from the organic results on the search engine. You can also keep checking where you are in the search engine result page. So, once you have a lot of understanding about all of these different things, you can keep reiterating your approaches to search engine optimization. You can keep improving yourself, and possibly in some time you can make sure that your search results are extremely great and you end up being the best organically searched page out there. So, it is something that is very dynamic, something that requires a lot of constant attention, something that you have to be on your toes with all the time. But key elements here: understanding keywords, identifying the right keyword mix, on page optimization, off page optimization, and having extremely great content. Now, there are some things that we need to understand which are bad practices, practices that you generally should not be doing, because many a times these practices are things that the search engine is now going to penalize you for. So, these are generally considered to be black hat SEO or black hat practices. Now, first of these elements is keyword stuffing. Now, keyword stuffing is especially done by a lot of websites which are only interested in optimizing search engine results. This is where you might be talking about the certain keyword repetitively more than the number of times it is required. Say for example, we discussed about the case of cars. You might be having content that says this website talks about cars because cars are extremely important and cars are central to the human requirement and cars is what we are always interested in. So, in this 1 or 2 sentences you had cars come out 5 times. The understanding that most of the people out there have is that by bringing in more number of times the keyword, you are going to be ranked higher. But no, Google will look into the density of keywords, and if you are going to have a very great density or very high density of keywords, then it might be considered as keyword stuffing. And if you do a lot of keyword stuffing, it might be considered as something that is not relevant to customers, something that is not natural, but something that is done so that you can cheat the search engine and get yourself in a higher result page. So, keyword stuffing is a problem. The next option, next thing that many companies do is cookie stuffing. Now cookie stuffing is again something that is done wherein you bring in a third party cookie into your website and you try to impart that cookie or deliver that cookie into the browser of the customer when they come to your page. Again, this is not a very accepted practice, which it might be a practice that might create more harm to you than good. So keyword stuffing, cookie stuffing, both are practices that might not be giving you any good results. There are a lot of websites which also try to put in hidden texts and links which probably can be read or can be understood by the search engines, but not necessarily for customers. Even this is not a very good practice because it might also harm your search engine results. There is a method called clocking, which basically is when you have an IP based tracking wherein you show a different page to the search engine because you know which IP address the crawler is using, versus when a customer is looking for content, you show them a different page. That is again something that the search engines don't always appreciate. There are gateway pages or doorway pages that are used. These are pages that the customer doesn't necessarily see because you land onto these pages and you are immediately redirected to another page, but the page wherein you land for a very short period of time might be a few seconds or a millisecond, might be the pages which are optimized for certain keywords. Again, something that will you might think will give you a better search engine result, but it will be detrimental at many sites. There are practices of using mirror sites wherein the same content might be provided in different platforms in different domains with an intention that you can now have them interlinked with each other and thereby create off page optimization. Again, not a good practice, not something that might be giving you good results. You might want to think, some people might want to think about spamming on blogs and spamming on social media with the link, so that now there is a lot of presence on social media with the link of your website. Again, something that is not extremely great. Spamming will also always give you a lower search engine rank as compared to organic comments that are out there. So you might have found that there might be blogs which are connected to your page, there might be people who will come down, talk about the specific keyword in all of these comments, talk about, keep commenting and keep spamming about links of your website. There might be cases wherein you will find that there is a social media page or content that is shared on social media, say on Facebook. You might find that a lot of people will come down and keep sharing links to a certain website thinking that this is going to improve the search engine result page. This is not going to happen. There are link farms that are out there. Link farms are basically websites which are hosted in different domains. They keep linking each other websites by creating a lot of forward links and backlinks and trying to expect that it is going to provide them better SEO results. Again, not a good practice. So the basic understanding is that most of the things that you do which are done with the sole intention of cracking your way into the search engine might not always be extremely great. It is better that you do a lot of these things naturally and organically. Focus on having the right content, focus on getting the right keyword research done, focus on doing the on page and off page optimization in a very honest manner, so that you can have the best output on the search result page. So again, to summarize what we have discussed about search engine optimization, search engine optimization was the entire set of activities that you can do with respect to the on page and off page optimization in order to ensure that your page ranks higher on the search engine result page organically, naturally, without paying for advertisements. The advantages of having SEO or why to do SEO include it increases organic click throughs. Basically, you don't have to pay the search engine for advertising or for displaying your content. It increases engagement because now your content is there in the first page. We discussed 75 to 80% of your customers are looking for content that is on the first page. So increased engagement happens. It also increases a lot of reputation to the company, because coming on the first page, being the first rank out there, is going to give you extended or heightened reputation. You might have a lot of competitive advantage because before your competition sets in, you might be able to show your content and get people to your website. It might give you market leadership, and overall it is a very effective strategy because you are getting hold of the customer at the right spot where the customer is looking for information, the customer is extremely interested in the product, and the chances of higher conversions and higher sales are much more by using this strategy. So in the next session, we will come back and discuss about the next topic which is relevant to search engines, wherein we will talk about search engine marketing. Like I always do, I want to remind you once again to please look into all the content that is provided to you alongside these videos, wherein you can read and understand a little bit further on what we are trying to explain. Also, there are some reference books. So if you get hold of any of these reference books or reference material, please read through that so that it will enhance your understanding. Thank you.